This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective.
Everything revolves around the head. That's like your gold card there. The head is your gold card. You got to have that first.
That voice that you hear there is Miss Natalie Adkins. Today, we're going to hear about bench show tips that can help you get your dog ready for the next event. Make sure you got your pen and your paper ready to take some notes as she goes over a few tips that will help you get ready. I hope you really enjoy this episode as much as I did producing it, and I hope you gain something from it just like I did. Hopefully we will have Miss Natalie back for more tips and tricks in the future as time will allow. Thank you for joining us today on the Coonhound Collective podcast. Today we have Miss Natalie Adkins with us, and we're going to talk about bench show hounds. Miss Natalie, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Just fine. Won't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
I'm from Astoria, Illinois. That's about an hour west of Peoria, Illinois. It's not a very big town. It's like 1,100 people. I'm an occupational therapist. I work with people, the elderly people. I really love it. It goes a lot with the hounds. You got to work the patients to get them to be able to go home, and they have to be strong and, so where their balance is good. So I use a lot of what I've learned in hounds. I use a lot of the different techniques as far as strengthening and different things to get them motivated to be able to go home. So that's one of my passions is working with people and animals. I have two kids. I have Belle Adkins. She just turned 17. And my son Hunter, he just turned 15. They're both big into sports. Belle only plays basketball. She plays travel basketball and then high school basketball. She's playing basketball like 9 months out of the year. And Hunter does everything. He does basketball, baseball, track, and football is his major. So I'm pretty busy with the hounds, kids, and my work. So
Yeah, I would say so. Our son started playing basketball this year, and by the time it was over, I was like, I need a break. So I can only imagine having two kids involved in that much and traveling around showing the hounds. That's going to keep you busy. So tell us how you got involved in dealing with coonhounds.
So when I was 13, my sister Dawn, she had treeing walker coonhounds. I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world to put a hound on a bench and make them stand there. Like I thought it was just so dumb. But I started messing with them a little bit, and I entered my first show in 1990 at, I think it was Casey, Illinois, and I won Best of Show, and I got hooked. Like it was in my veins, and it still is to this day. So,
well, kind of the same way with hunting is you go out and you hunt, you tree a coon, and you're kind of hooked. So I can definitely see just what little bit I've messed with working with dogs on bench. Mm-hmm. Once you get one to do what you want, I can see where you could get hooked on it pretty quick.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So what kind of events have you won over the years?
Let's see. I'm trying to think back. I've won at Walker Days many times, like Queen of Show, King of Show. I won National Grand in 2001 and 2003, National Grand in 2019, the World Show in 2019, or opposite sex in 2019, opposite sex in 1998 or 97. I can't remember, but lots of Winter Classic breeds. Never won overall until last year, 2020. Wendy, she won Grand American and then turned around and won Winter Classic overall. So those were very special wins. Those two special wins for me, because I had been chasing them for like 31 years, and I finally got the two overalls. Those were my last two major events to win. So
okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's quite a resume, and that's what I wanted to do. Make sure people understand we're talking to people that are serious about getting out and showing their hounds. So I'm getting into coon hounds, and I'm gonna maybe show the dog, and I'm maybe gonna hunt the dog, and I'm going to look at it. Would you recommend getting a puppy to start with, or a
Yeah.
dog that's already grown?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're younger, I mean, and have one, I would try to get one that's like kind of already broke and then like have, go to like the bigger events and watch like the big, the national level handlers show. And I mean, if you have enough confidence to, go up to that national level handler and ask them questions or have them, step aside when they have time to just show you a few things because most national level handlers are going to give their time. So,
Yeah, with my short experience with bench showing, that has been my experience. If you ask them when they have time, they will show you a few tips here and there.
mhm.
So, if I decide I'm going to get a puppy, is there something in the litter that you're looking for? Or are you looking straight into show stock? Or if you want a dual purpose hound, is there certain things we need to be looking for these puppies?
So when I have a litter of pups, the first thing I look at is color. Because really, when they're born, that's really, I mean, size of their head, structure of their bone. Those are about the things that you can look at. And you kind of like, they all pretty much look alike at that age. And then when they start growing, when they start walking in like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, when you can start like setting them up and stuff, that's when you can kind of narrow down to like the shoulder angle, the rear end angle, the top line, how the ear rolls and how it's just sets on the head. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, we got our puppy or our young dog, and we have it at the house, and we've messed with it a little bit. What steps do we need to take? Like, take us from A to Z, A being the most basic thing of how to
Mhm.
get that dog ready or that puppy ready to start working it on the bench, and maybe even go into some of the patience, because like we talked before we hit record here, I've been working some of my young dogs on the bench, and you have to have the patience of Job to be able to do this, or at least with my dogs, you do anyway.
Yeah. So I say the younger the better, but that's just me. I would rather work because if it's my litter, like the one that I pinpoint that I really like, or like the top three of my picks, I will literally start putting them on my lap at like 2 weeks old. Kid you not. And from there, I mean, it's just so much easier to get them when they first start, when they're like 2, 3 weeks old to get that muscle memory and everything. But literally the first, if I get like a 6, 7, 8, even a year-old dog, it doesn't matter what age they are. I always start with their head. If they hold it even a second, they get petted up, they get awarded for it, they get a treat, something. But like I like do it like 10 times. And if they hold their head straight and still, it doesn't matter if it's up, don't matter if it's down, as long as they keep it center of their body, they get rewarded for it. And then eventually they'll just start holding their head. And when to the point when they do hold their head for like longer periods of time, then I start setting their feet. And when they don't move their feet and their head, then they get rewarded. And then I just kind of work back to their back feet. But also I've learned here probably in the last 5 years I started working my puppies and older dogs on what they call a puppy bench. So it's like you can use anything for like to stack them on. So you can use like cans, like vegetable cans, and take 4 vegetable cans and stack them up, and then set their feet on each one of them. And if they try to step off, of course they're going to fall. So that's another good technique, is that. But they sell puppy benches all over the place. So yeah, and then just from there you just start kind of putting them all together, making all the pieces work together. And then but it's a lot of work. I mean, it's you have to dedicate yourself to that dog. I mean, when I'm really in training mode, they get work 3, 4, 5 times a day, not very long periods until they get older. And then when they get older, they might get work 3 times a day, no more than 5 minutes. And then when they get it, like, they're not going to break or anything, they don't get worked. I mean, probably until like 2 or 3 weeks before a national level show for me. If you're showing them every weekend, and they're like completely broke, I do not recommend like working them maybe until like the night before, because they can get burnt out very easily.
Okay, so you start off with that young dog up to a
Hmm.
year old or so, and you work
Yeah.
strictly on getting that head to stay still first
Yes.
before you ever move to any of the rest of the body.
Exactly.
Okay, and then you go front feet, back feet, and so
Yep.
on from there.
Yep.
Okay, is there any other than stacking the cans and or a puppy bench? Is there any other secrets or techniques that someone could do to help them along? Maybe they got one that is, it'll stand still for a minute, but it's moving around. Is it just repetition that they need to work on, or is there something they could do?
Yeah, repetition's big. Just, I mean, if they move their foot, put it right back where it was. If they keep moving their feet, don't pet them up. Or the biggest thing with dogs is like rewarding them. They love rewards, and they'll do anything for a pet or something. But yeah, just if they keep moving their foot, keep moving it back until they get it right. And then when they get it right, even if it's for, like I said, a second or two, you pet them up. They will respond to that reward.
Okay. So with a young dog, and I'm going to use my puppy that I've been working on the bench, for example, whenever I get ready to work her during the day or in the afternoon, I let her out and let her run. Is that a good idea to let them exert some energy before you
Yeah.
start working them? Is that common practice?
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a hyper dog, absolutely. If you want to turn loose, I mean, and you want that in your regimen, that's fine. Now, for me, I just take him right out of the kennel and take him to the bench. But that's everybody has different things. But yeah, I mean, I never thought about that. But yeah, that's a great idea to just let them and blow off steam before you even get them on the bench.
Yeah, well, mine, she will not stay there if you don't let her. I let her run for about an hour. I live way out in the country, and I let her and her sister out, and I let them run for about an hour, and then I start working her. Her sister has a bad problem wanting to lay down every time I put her on the bench. The other one will just jump up there and she's ready to do, but the sister wants to lay down every time I get her up there.
So with her, what I would do, I wouldn't even let her jump up there if that's exactly what she immediately gets on the bench and just lays down. I would say just, kind of just let her stand by the bench, take her front feet and place them on the bench, and then grab her like between her back legs and like bring her up, like pick her up and just kind of hold like one hand under her chest and one hand under her rear, and then just kind of pet her up and make her stand there. So she knows that's what she's supposed to do, not lay down.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. I'm here today to tell you about one of our sponsors, Conky's Outdoors. Whether you need a few dog collars or the whole setup, they can fix you up. They have a wide range of products from hound hunting to fishing. My friends over at Conky's Outdoors can help you out. You can order online at conkysoutdoors.com. Call them at 904-692-1568, 904-692-1568, or if you're in the Hastings, Florida area, go by and see them. Again, that's at conkysoutdoors.com because we support people who support our way of life. So maybe I've been coon hunting for a while and I went out and I bought a dog that has a show champion title on it, but maybe the dog hasn't been showed in a while and I want to go into showing or start working on some showing. Is there some techniques that you can do with an older dog that's been there, done that before, but maybe hasn't been showed in a while? Kind of like, coon hunting, you start hunting them and kind of getting them back in the groove if they've been laid up for a while.
Yeah, so I would start with the same regimen. I would see what, kind of what they're doing and how far advanced they are. If they're holding their head, great. But I will start off with their head to see if they're moving it and stuff. We work on that first thing. It's always the head because the head leads the body. If the dog's like turning its head toward you, it's most likely their body's going to turn toward you too. So that's why you want that head to be in line with their spine. So they're always looking ahead, never to the right, never to the left. So I work on that first thing, regardless of how broke they are. If they haven't been shown in a while, I will start with their head and then their feet, the front feet, then their back feet. If they're turning out in the front, you want everything, facing forward. You don't want no turnout on the, to the right or, out or in, but you want everything forward. So if they're portraying that they're cowhawk, you want to kind of turn them in a little bit and hopefully that they will stay there. Some dogs are just naturally cowhawk and you just can't break them of that. I mean, that's just their structure. But if you can, just try to keep everything in line.
Okay, and when you say cowhop, you're saying whenever you put their front feet down and they kind of turn to the outside of their body and their toes kind of spread apart. Is I'm understanding that correctly?
That's just turning out. The cowhawk part is the rear end, like the back feet. So they're going to turn out. That's cowhawk. The front feet, they just turn out. So yeah, so you want to make sure that you turn them to where they're like facing forward, like their feet, their their toes, everything's facing forward. So yeah, it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of bits and pieces to it.
Oh, absolutely. So whenever you get one on the bench and their feet are turning out, are you literally grabbing their feet, turning them, and placing them every time they move them out?
Yes.
To get
Yeah.
them back into putting it there. So if you have
Yes.
a dog that is really being aggravating and moving their feet around a lot, you're just steady moving them. But this is only after you've got that head center, right?
Yes. Everything revolves around the head. That's like your gold card there. The head is your gold card. You got to have that first because everything else will fall in place eventually.
Okay. And you are showing just tree and walkers, correct?
Yes, I have shown for people. I showed a blue tick, I showed a plot, I showed English. I don't like to admit that, but there are pictures out there, so I have to admit it.
Oh, okay, okay. So when you said you're looking for color, obviously we all know what a tree and walker looks like, what a blue tick looks like, what an
Yep.
English looks like. Can you run through real quickly on each one of those that you've had experience with? When you say I'm looking for the color, what you're looking for in that puppy?
So, like, this is just my personal preference. I like a blaze. Sometimes I don't show a dog with blaze, but I like a beautiful blaze on their head. I like a ring that comes up over their neck, and then the rest can be saddleback or just a solid black color on their back. But my ultimate is the blaze and then the ring up over the neck, the white ring.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I know what you're saying there. Real briefly, if I'm brand new, I've been showing in some local shows, and this is the year. I'm going to go out and I'm going to hit some of these big shows, Autumn Oaks, Winter Classic, Tree and Walker Days, whatever it would be. What is something that someone can expect when they get there? What's like what they can expect from the people, the judges? Maybe it's a little lax, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. So at the local show, obviously it's going to be more on point for the bigger shows. What are some of the things they can expect?
So the first thing you're going to expect is nerves. Nerves is a big thing. I know, first show of the season, my nerves are always getting to me. My dog can feel it. If I'm shaking, they're going to respond off of me. So you want to make sure you try to keep your nerves in check. A big thing is noise. Like there's a lot of noise in dogs, even if you think your dog's like completely ready to roll at a national level, it's so much for a dog to take in, especially if they've never experienced all the dogs, all the people. A lot of camaraderie, like you'll see, a lot of, people helping other competitors. Like if they need someone to show a dog for them, they hand them off to another competitor. Yeah, I mean it's a great aspect of everything. But yeah, so if I have one thing as far as advice, just the nerves, just keep your nerves in check because that dog will feed off you so quick and it'll just throw them off their game.
Okay. So we've talked about different techniques with the dogs and what to look for in a dog. As me, the handler, is there a way I need to be dressed? Is there a way I need to carry myself inside the ring? Are there certain things that a handler can do while practicing with their dog to get themselves ready?
So some things that is another thing, like as far as just the bench. There's also an aspect called gating. So you got to be prepared as far as gating. That's another huge thing that the judges look at now. It's more emphasis on the gate. So you want to try to get a choke lead. If you go to the big events, you'll find somebody that's always selling a choker and a show lead that's big. You don't have to, like, you can use just like a regular collar or whatever, but to be a national level or any level, you really want to work on that chain link or the at home and work them with treats and try to get them under control because that's, you can't look at a dog and, at their gates when they're moving. If they're just kind of all over the place, you kind of want to just kind of keep them by your side and, keep that not a tight lead, but, just kind of to where they're under control. So that's another big thing is the ground movement. So
Yeah, and I'm sorry I didn't think about that when we were talking about the bench stuff because I've actually got a show lead and I have a couple one an older dog. You put it on her and, you know, the choker and the show collar and all, and the show lead. And she does fine. But getting the puppies used to that, it seems to be the challenge, because I don't know if it's because you move it up behind their ears, you know,
Yeah.
way up on their head. They don't like that. But it really seems to be, I guess, a repetition again to get them used to that.
And actually treating does really good too. So you just kind of try to just start working with them on the choker, and just like, you know, just let it, wherever it hangs, but just, you know, use treat and just make them come to you, and then let them drag the lead behind them, and then eventually you can kind of pick it up, and they'll just start following you as long as you have a treat in your hand. So works out well.
Okay, so just put the show collar on them or the choker collar on them with the lead on it, and just let them drag it around in the yard and kind of get used to it being on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a way the handler's supposed to present themselves in the ring, the handler themselves?
So at like a local show or state level show, you can wear like jeans or, you know, hoodie. As far as the national level, you know, you want to kind of dress up a little bit, like khakis, a nice shirt, like Autumn Oaks of the world. I always wear like a pantsuit or really nice slacks, really nice shirt. So, I mean, it just depends on how you want to present yourself. It doesn't really matter. I mean, we're coon hunters, but like Autumn Oaks in the world are very near and dear to my heart. So I like to go that extra step to present my dog better, and it makes, you know, it makes everything just flow together. You know, if you're looking nice, you're feeling good. So that's always been kind of my theory.
Yeah, well, I know this is not dog showing, but, you know, when I was younger in high school, I showed hogs at a state level, and I know it's showing hogs, but we still, you know, dress the part as a handler of that hog to, you know, look nice for the judge, you know. And so that was kind of my thought with this is I've watched some YouTube videos, I've watched some big shows before, and everybody seems to be, you know, dressed appropriately for that. So, is there any other tips that you could give us that would help us progress our hound on to that level of being ready to go to a local bench show? What are the things you look for before you put that dog in its first bench show?
Yeah, so like going back when I first started showing, I literally went to Autumn Oaks my very first year and just like watched the national level handlers, and it helped me so much. I was so scared to even talk to national level handlers, but I watched them and kind of worked from there. And I mean, that's the biggest thing, and just, you know, watching them, see how the challenges of moving the dogs, setting the dogs, having the judge go over your dog, and sometimes the judge asks you questions. I mean, it's a lot to take in, and just go be a spectator, or go, you know, just go ask somebody, you know, hey, can you kind of teach me a few things? But yeah, the biggest thing is asking and watching. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. And then with your dog, just get that head, then the front feet,
Yeah.
then the back feet, and then I guess
Yeah.
does the tail just come on its own, or how do you work that part of the dog?
So there's what I call like a tail trick. So I take like a hairbrush, and I like take the tip and start like brushing backwards on the tail, on the underside of the tail. Most dogs do not like it. But like I said, the more you do it, the easier it will get for them to understand, you know, that it's okay that you're doing that to their tail, because dogs don't like it. But it doesn't take very long. And then naturally, if you stroke the hair backwards, and you kind of just smooth it up over their back, they'll eventually start holding it there. And then some dogs, you just have to hold it. They never do like carry the tail up over their back when they're standing. So
Okay. Yeah, I had been told that about brushing the hair backwards before. I didn't know if that was so or not, but obviously whoever told me that was telling me the truth.
there's this old man told me that. He's like, I'm gonna show you a trick, and I was probably 15 years old, and he showed me that. I'm like, wow, that's awesome, and I still use it to this day.
Yeah, I've actually used it, and it works. It definitely does work for sure. Well, I think we've covered quite a few tips here. Is there a coon hunting story or a bench show story that is serious or funny that you could share with us before we close it out today?
I I'm a very serious person when I show, so I take my job very serious. So one of the shows is that I love, like I said, is Autumn Oaks and The World. Those are my two favorite shows. And when I was a young girl starting out, my dream, my goal was to win National Grant in The World in the same year, and I did do that in 2003 with a dog named Hammer and Hank Honest Abe. He was a night champion, and he also won duels that year. So that show, those three shows have been always near and dear to my heart. But it was just amazing that, setting that goal at 13 years old, and then it finally came true in 2003. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. That's quite an accomplishment. Like I said, I wanted to get you on here. I know we've talked before and you were busy, and I'm glad we was able to make this work, because not only was I needing some tips, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that can gain some knowledge from this that will, we need to grow this sport, in my eyes, in every aspect, from the night hunt to the bench show and everything in between. We need to work together to grow this sport. And it seemed like when I was younger, first getting into competition coon hunting, there was a divide there a little bit between, at least where I was at, between bench show and the night hunt. And I want to bring that together, and I'm interested in it. I just got to work on my patience, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have anything else to add, or anybody you would like to thank on here publicly, I think we've kind of covered everything that I can think of, unless there's something else you want to add in there.
Growing up, I had a few mentors, Lee Kearns, Val Nelson, the late Jack Anderson, the late Lonnie Mears. They all helped me throughout the years. And I would love to pay it forward to some young person, or, someone just starting out. It doesn't matter. Please, please, please come and ask me, because I am willing to work with anybody. You just got to come up and ask. I mean, I'm just a person too. So. Okay.
Well, there you have it. If you're listening to this podcast and you see Natalie at a show, don't do it when she's in the middle of showing or getting ready to go out there. But when you see her come off the ring, give her a few minutes to catch her breath, go up and talk to her. She's willing to help. That's what we need. From every aspect of the sport, that's what we need, is people just like her that's willing to get out there and pass forward what she's been given, to her during her career of showing. So if you go to one of these big shows and you see her, tell her you heard her here on the Coonhound Collective podcast, and she'll be more than glad to get out there and help you. Just don't bother her when she's getting ready to go in the ring. Please don't do that. Just like she said, I can only imagine your nerves before you get ready to go in there.
Yeah, I have two kids that don't want nothing to do with hounds, and I have nobody to share my knowledge with. So please, please, please come talk to me.
Well, I really do appreciate you taking your time today to be on the podcast and share a tidbit of some tips and tricks that we can work on. And I'd love to have you back in the future, and we can go in more depth of different things that we can do, and just an update of where you're at and what shows you're going to be at and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate it. And if you don't have anything else, I think we'll sign off right here. And thank you for being on the Coonhound Collective podcast.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hey, guys. This is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. If you're thinking about swapping to a different dog feed, give my friends a look over at extremedogfuel.com. They carry two different lines. They carry an elite and a professional. The professional has corn, wheat, and soy in it. The elite does not have corn, wheat, and soy. Go over to extremedogfuel.com, see which line and which mixture is right for you. Find a retailer near you. If you're in the Southwest Missouri, Northwest Arkansas area, you can't find a retailer and you want to give it a shot, hit me up at TheCoonhound Collective at gmail.com. I am a current dealer for Extreme Dog Fuel. I can get you pricing, I can get you dog feed. Again, go see my friends over at extremedogfuel.com. You won't be disappointed. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at The Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at TheCoonhoundCollective at gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to TheCoonhoundCollective at gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.